Deepa Shetty here, speaking from my clinic called Sakyam. The mission of Sakyam is well-being of all. We move through our routine in a very autopiloted way because we are sum total of our habit patterns. And these habits are determined by the way we do our things on a daily basis. This video is all about shifting our autopilot mind to a willing mind. It doesn't mean what we are doing is wrong or whether we should be doing it in a right and appropriate manner. It just means there are some habits out there which are from our autopilot mode. I mean, it's not under our control. Even though we know this is what is something which I don't want to do, we end up doing, like getting angry, getting triggered, like sometimes overeating, sometimes eating that snack and not able to stop your cravings. There are many things, mindless shopping. So the what I would want to address today is from a mindless way of doing thing to a mindful way of doing thing, where we are aware of what we are doing and we are able to take a choice of what we are doing. Here I'm not speaking about suppressing any of our desire. Here I'm not speaking about how you should be stopping yourself from doing what you want to do very strongly. Here I'm just saying, in your daily routine, do your things mindfully. I mean, it is under your control. It is a choice of your willing mind and it is not just happening because you cannot control. So let's understand how to do it. And why is this important? This is important because many times when we face problem, we tend to actually use mindful as a blanket over a problem. Like if I get angry, then I would want to sit there and take a breath. I mean, concentrate on my breath and try to calm myself down. So I use my mindful being in a situation where I'm not able to take hold of it and use it as a blanket for that time. Unless and until you use your mindfulness every day in your everyday life, you don't develop a habit that you want to develop. So we have lots of habits, some are good, some are bad. Here I am trying to concentrate on those habits which you think is bad for you, which you want to change and which you are not able to. So let's pick up some example to understand that. First, I wanted you to understand that how you are supposed to change those vices into virtues. Okay, something which you think is not what I would like to do if I had a more control over my mind. Rather than changing anybody out there who is triggering me, how do I change the trigger inside me? This video is all about that. So for that, let's take some examples over it. Suppose you are in a situation or you think that I end up fighting with my spouse and I get angry very easily. So you can take spouse, you can take your mothers, you can take anybody with whom you usually end up into argument. So you are not able to change anything about them, but for you to understand how do I get a control over the situation, it's important that you understand how do you apply your mindful thing out here. So first and foremost, recognize a habit pattern, recognize a situation in which you get into this habit. So when do I get into a situation where there is a conflict, where there is an argument and I get irritated and I get triggered and I start getting angry. Identify that situation. Then identify the habit which you usually exhibiting during that situation. I mean, you get angry, you get irritated, you stop yourself from speaking much, whatever. You identify that habit, then get mindfulness to that habit. That what mindful technique can you use out there? I mean, what can you use? Not mindlessly. This trigger, anger, irritation is mindless, which is happening without your control, which you are not putting any thought and it's still happening. But what mindfully putting your thought there can you do during this situation, and what strength can you use along with this mindful to get control over the situation? When you're able to do that, that's when you are able to take charge of the situation, and that makes you very powerful. Trust me on that, it really makes you very powerful, because you know nothing is driving you out there. You are able to take hold of the situation. So let's take an example, like I get into an argument with somebody, which I was trying to give you earlier, with my mother, with my husband, with my kids. Like whenever they are not doing homeworks, how restless I get, and I yell and shout at them to do their work. So, or overeating, I'm eating too much, and sometimes I don't want to eat so much, still I'm not able to control my cravings and desires, and I get into overeating, overthinking. There are many such habits. Or when I'm stuck in the traffic and I'm getting late to the work, I'll always end up late, so I get very restless during that time. So driving to the work can be restless, so that can be one habit that I end up there. I'm not doing it, it's the situation which is happening. But again, this is something going late out there. Procrastination, so many out there are there. You can pick up one. So I'm picking up one where I have an argument with my loved ones. So when I am having an argument in the loved one, what's happening? First, see what's happening. You will try to see your behavior, then their behavior. That's the first thing that you have to do. See your behavior, then their behavior. So probably most of the time, 75% of the talking I am doing. Okay. Or the person's non-verbal is triggering me, whatever. So I choose like 75% of the talking I am doing. So what mindful action can you take here? Probably mindfully listening. 75% is done by you, 25% is done by the other person. So now, how do I see that I do the less talking? So mindful, the opposite of it is that mindful listening I can do. I can listen. And I just not listen. I listen not to those words that the person is speaking, because that is triggering me to react. Okay. So I don't listen to those words. I listen underlying those words, what's happening there. So what kind of strength can I use here? Probably my strength of being fair to everyone. So I have been fair to myself about how things should be fair with me. I maybe use that for the other person. So my strength of being fair can be used here, and hence I will try to listen to that person without judging anything and without getting triggered by those words. That's the habit you have to take control. So remember, it's not a suppression, it's about taking control over the situation, so you don't allow it to happen. You use your strength of being fair, you use your mindful of being listening to this person, and listen underneath that. Probably you listen some kind of injustice the person is feeling. Probably you listen that the person wants to be listened by you. Probably you'll feel this person wants to actually have somebody out there, some person out there with whom you can pour his heart out. Whatever, just listen underneath it, and probably then you will find that argument has 50% of your listening and 50% of your talking, and even the person will feel heard. Try doing this, because then you are taking control of the situation. You are not mindlessly doing your behavior, but mindfully choosing to enhance love in your relationship. There cannot be two feelings existing in one point of a time. So if you are angry, there cannot be love. If you are in love and you are exhibiting love to and compassion to the other person, there cannot be anger. So you are choosing to be in love. That doesn't mean you are agreeing to anything. That doesn't mean you are yielding to somebody. It just means that your action is coming out of love for the other person. So you are trying to listen. That doesn't mean you're not loving yourself. You're listening to your own self also, but you're trying to mindfully listen to both and use your strength of being fair to both and see what comes out of it. And if you do this every day, how your habits and your action can be from your willing mind and not from your autopilot mind. Now here what's important is that you see that every time it's not only the mindful technique which should be used, like sometimes it can be mindful speech, sometimes it can be mindful eating, but the intensity of mindfulness that you're using and the frequency of it, or how well are you able to, do the duration of it, even the strength, the duration, how much are you able to use it, that also counts. Like sometimes it may be important to use it, the intensity of mindful listening has to be more. Sometimes the duration of the strength, the fairness that you have to give to this person on a regular basis of time whenever the conflicts occur can be more. Remember, the intention is to build the relationship with love, because this is an important relationship to you, that you have to get aware and recognize first before you put any of these exercises, because this exercise is about getting from an autopilot mind to a willing mind, from a mindless to a mindful behavior. Okay, so overeating, it can also be seen like this, because it will never be only one area. It will be there in other areas like overthinking, over hurry. There will be a lot of area you'll be exhibiting it, because that's one thing which has become a habit, because it's exhibited again and again and again and again in every area. So you can pick that up also, and then see how you can bring the virtue ahead. That's the happiness, that's the love, that's the care for others and care for yourself. And that's when you really feel that you're able to change your reaction to a response. You're able to exhibit the person you are from within than what you're trying to do outward. And the benefits of mindfulness is many. So you can use meditation technique of breathing to get aware of yourself, but if you don't use it in everyday life, every second, when your mind is wandering, when your mind is getting triggered, when your mind is getting distracted, you're not able to pull it back and take a control of the situation, you're not doing it. You're not doing it actually. You're just knowing it. Unless you apply, you're not doing it. Hence, let's do it and see how it works for you. Do leave in a comment section whether you are able to apply it, and are you able to do what you want in your life and have that healthier, fulfilling, happy life. Thank you for listening to me. Do leave in a comment section how did you like this video, and really thank you for allowing me to add value to your life. Thanks a lot, and see you again.